What is up, everybody? Thank you for checking out a new episode of the BarbacoaCore Podcast. I am your host, Patrick C. Huerta. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. If I could ask a favor, if you could just share, subscribe on whichever platform that you use to listen to podcast, and maybe even leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That would be great. That will help out the podcast visibility, let other listeners find out about the podcast, and not only promote my podcast, but promote the guests that I have on the podcast. I do appreciate that. Um, on this episode, I have the two comics that talked about the San Antonio comedy scene on their podcast. They have a podcast called Two Mic Minimum. They're based out of New York. Somehow through the Reddit feeds, they found out about the SA comedy scene. They talked about us on the podcast, and then they planned a trip to come visit the San Antonio scene just to check it out firsthand. And so on this episode, I got to sit down with them, Peter CLARK-DEUTSCH, and Sean Barry. You can find them respectively at Peter. You can find him at Westchester Woke Boy. Sorry, Westchester Woke Boy on the Instagram, and Sean Barry. You can find him at Big Barry 63 on Instagram. But yeah, they're from the Two Mic Minimum podcast. You can look that up on Instagram at Two Mic Minimum. You can find their podcast anywhere you can find podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Castbox, all that good stuff. Look it up, Two Mic Minimum. It's a brand new podcast. They're like a couple months into it, and what they do, they come out, or they try to dig into the comedy scenes of different places outside of New York, as well as New York, but outside of New York. And their first stop was San Antonio. They flew into San Antonio. They got here this past Thursday. Did the open mic at Josh's 22. They did a couple spots at the Blind Tiger Comedy Club, and then they're on their way to Freetail Brewing Company to their that Hoppy Endings show, which goes on once a month, every third Saturday, on a Saturday. You can look it up, Hoppy Endings at Freetail Brewing Co. So yeah, I'm gonna try to jump right into it. I have the SoundCloud shoutouts that I want to do. With SoundCloud shoutouts to Uglyhead, Comedian Group, Joey Armenta, and Justino Byers. Thank you for commenting, liking on the SoundCloud. I also got for YouTube, I have Norwal and Justin Byers, which is funny because he commented on his own episode, but whatever. That's you still get a shout out on that. So follow the Blind Tiger Comedy Club on Instagram at Blind Tiger Comedy. Follow the podcast in Instagram at BarbacoaCore Podcast. Anything BarbacoaCore related, you can find at www.barbacoacore.com. That has my show dates, has links to a few of the platforms that the podcast is on, and a couple of the friends of the podcast. 10 for Manili Moss, Uglyhead is on there. He Who's Oxus Gourd. So yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump into this interview. Sat down with them for the guys of Two Mic Minimum, and here we go. Welcome to the episode. The guys from Two Mic Minimum Podcast with Peter CLARK-DEUTSCH and Sean Barry.
Howdy.
Hello.
What's
Hello.
going on, everybody?
Howdy, y'all.
What's going on?
Cool. So from the top, let's go ahead and do your plugs, any social medias and stuff. I guess Peter, we'll start with you. How do people find you?
Yeah, well, so you can search me up on Instagram. Either you can use my handle, which is called Westchester Woke Boy, or what you can do is you can go down to the bottom of the video, copy and paste my full name, and search it in Instagram, and you'll find it. Same thing with Twitter. You can copy and paste my full name, you'll find it in Twitter. My handle is @CLARK-DEUTSCH. My YouTube channel is just my full name. Again, you can copy and paste that from the bottom, and you'll find me on YouTube.
And for me, Mr. Sean Barry. Guys, just follow me on Instagram at BigBarry63. You can follow our podcast at 2 Mic Minimum on Instagram as well. And you can follow my other podcast, The Big Barry Podcast, on Instagram. Easiest way to get in contact with me, send a letter through like a Raven. Like that's the best way to get in contact.
Yeah. So it's interesting how y'all guys came down to San Antonio because like for the podcast, the 2 Mic Minimum, like what do y'all pretty much talk about other local comedy scenes as well as New York's comedy scene?
Basically the premise in the beginning was just, I wanted to do a podcast with Sean because I thought we contrast each other really well. I think we riff off each other really, really nicely.
We're very similar, but we're also very different, which allows nice, banter back and forth.
Yes.
And so we kind of, we'd get to a mic together and we would just shoot the shit for like 20 minutes beforehand. And, this is not the worst. We have ideas and thoughts about things. So we're like, let's just throw it together. And, so the show is basically, we find news stories and articles from places you haven't heard about, from names you haven't heard about that are interesting to us. We talk about them, usually make fun of them. And then we're like, yeah. And then we usually also like to talk about what's going on in our own local scene.
Yeah.
And also, now that we've come down to San Antonio, we definitely plan on visiting other scenes outside of like the major comedy areas, which you'd consider to be New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and we definitely,
Chi-town.
And we definitely want to give those places a voice because I don't think people really are aware of how widespread comedy is in this country. I mean,
it's a disease.
People still don't know that it's going on in San Antonio. So
Lately, but I think people now know a little better now. That we've been here.
Yeah. We got to interview some great people. A
So
lot of fun.
So since the start of the podcast, this is your first time doing like flying out to a different location.
Oh,
to check it out?
Yeah.
This
our podcast is still very young. We've only been doing it like about 3.5 months now.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things because you guys got in contact with us after we did the whole
After y'all shit on our scene.
we shit on it.
No, we did not shit on your scene.
I shit on it.
Did you shit on it?
Yeah,
I was.
But that's the problem. I never remember what I say on the podcast.
I don't think you shit.
Yeah.
I record, I talk, I forget all.
We
about
were
it.
like, we found this. Basically, I found this thing on Reddit. It was this outrageous show that was happening in San Antonio.
And that's so weird how how it was on Reddit. I mean, I don't know how Reddit works. I get news from there, but I don't post on there, and I don't really do research on there. So it's so weird how like you found it. Like, so how did it pop out?
Well,
to you?
so it's usually I go through Reddit. There's this 2 subreddits. One's called r/standup. One's called r/standup comedy. Where stand-up comedy is more just like widespread comedy news, like Eddie Murphy's getting a deal, whereas stand-up is more down to guys like us, more local comedians who are asking for advice or they're sharing stuff from their scene. And basically, I guess someone from San Antonio or someone from Texas like screenshotted the description for the Bomb Squad show. And I read it and I messaged Sean. I was like, Sean, we got to talk about this because this sounds so crazy.
Is that like the most ridiculous thing you ever heard of?
Yeah, it's up there.
Based on its description, yes.
Yeah.
Now we were told that like it wasn't.
We were told it wasn't exactly as over the top as it was made out to be.
Yeah, the description was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it did sound scary, but then it really wasn't.
Yeah, I imagine it was just like any open mic.
When we did that episode, our plan wasn't to be like, San Antonio, fuck them. I know you guys get a lot of flack from like other scenes, basically for that. So I understand how you.
We've been told you guys have a bit of a Napoleonic complex compared to Austin.
Yeah, you're the butt of the joke in Texas, so I could definitely see why like people thought we were coming off that way, but we really weren't. We were just like focusing on this one place,
one thing
that happened to be in San Antonio, and then the reason why we ended up coming down here is because in a comedy group, Irma shared a screenshot from Rubone, who was or Ruben, who was the former manager of LOL Comedy Club. And
Oh, I
then
don't
so
know.
it was a screenshot that was just like a bunch of nonsensical rants, and I thought it'd be funny to talk about on the podcast. So his Facebook,
because Peter knows the one thing I hate more than anything in this world are long, lengthy Facebook posts that are misspelled, done poorly capitalized, and he knew it would just trigger me really hard.
yeah, and I ended up going through his Facebook profile because it was public, and I was like, oh, okay, let's see what else this guy has posted. And then I realized, like, he posted about Bomb Squad, saying we're having Bomb Squad at LOL Comedy Club, and I was like, wait a minute, this is where that show is from. And
okay.
and then I on the original post in the comedy group that Irma posted, I said, hey, we talked about the show on our podcast. Do you guys have any other information about it? Because we'd love to keep talking about it if you guys had any information. I think there was definitely this. I feel like a lot of people here were intrigued by the fact that, like, oh, hey, some New York guys talking about San Antonio. So they all gave our podcast a listen, and then Chris Grulon was the first to reach out to us.
Yeah, a bunch of people just contacted us randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I assumed it was a trap to get us to come down here to come beat the shit out of us, but sadly not.
No, like I remember seeing the one. I think Rosie Martinez. She's a comic here.
Yeah.
She's the one that first posted out, like, "Oh, these guys are talking about Bomb Squad."
Yeah.
And I just thought it was the idea of Bomb Squad, like not the Bomb Squad that was going on at LOL. I was like, "Oh, this is happening at other places. Let me check it out." And then it turned out it was the one at LOL. I was like, "Oh yeah, these guys are fucking tearing it apart." And rightfully so, because it was a ridiculous. It is a ridiculous idea, and I think they're still gonna run with it, like as a monthly thing.
Yeah.
But it's not as intense as the description was.
Right. That's what we were told.
So yeah, a lot of people reached out to y'all on that, and I reached out to y'all about that as well, because most of the people that were contacting y'all were people who are in the comedy scene, but didn't participate in that Bomb Squad in particular. They just shat on it from the outside.
Yeah.
Without an
Which is
inside
what we
perspective.
did too.
Yeah, well, that's my thing too. Is like I've realized now that comedy, all the circles are so similar because people love to talk a shit about things that are going on, even though they didn't do it or participate. Like it's just like it's worse than like old-fashioned sewing circles. The way comics gossip amongst each other,
It is really bad.
it's so bad.
It is really bad, and that's why it's a good thing that the San Antonio scene is so small, because there's not that much drama, but there is still a lot of drama, and people won't let shit go.
Oh yeah, I mean it's funny though because like we get a few drinks in some of the comics the last few days, and they started letting us hear it, and it's like. I'm glad to see things are just universal. People love to just keep going.
It's universal in every comedy scene because we're all insecure and we're all trying to claw our way to, above people in any way possible, you know.
Yeah. So you got a lot of followers from that, and a lot of people from San Antonio from that.
We have gotten a nice little bump from San Antonio and comics in the area and people in the area. Just we've been just like this has been like a great marketing tour for us because we want to really grow this brand of ours. That's this stupid idea we have that is somehow turned into success. Like everything I want to be successful is, and everything I don't think about is.
Like the people who actively listen to us now are people in San Antonio and our friends from New York.
Yeah, so they'll enjoy it. But like the nice part is now we kind of have this under our belt. We can start really contacting other scenes and really being like, hey, we did it with them. We could do it with you.
And we have plans. Like in New York City, there's a lot of comedy transplants, like people who cut their teeth elsewhere in the country. And now they're in New York City because that's kind of where you have to go if you like really want to make it big. And
you can make it there. You can make it anywhere.
Yeah, and I got into contact with someone from Orlando, and she said she would be willing to be on the podcast, and we'll talk about the Orlando scene. I got into contact with some people from Dallas too at that same open mic. Probably gonna talk about the Dallas scene too. So like I think we're gonna try to like talk about all these scenes that no one thinks about because I don't think people think comedy exists. Like normal people, not comics. I don't think normal people think comedy exists outside like the three major cities.
Normal people think you just show up and like, oh, you're amazing at comedy. Like, everyone's like when they see a special, like, oh, he probably just thought all of that up on the spot.
Yeah.
You wrote it all down on a napkin.
They don't realize all the time and effort that goes into this.
Yeah. I didn't realize that too before I started because when I was younger. I was like these comics were just actors, and they had people writing for them. And I forget whose special it was, and then at the end it says written and performed by so and so. I was like, oh shit, this guy did it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like really impressed. I was like, oh shit, like it's a one person type of thing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean like New York, LA, and what's the third one?
Chicago.
Chicago's pretty big.
Chicago.
Yeah. I know I have some friends who are, I went to school with in New York who we all did comedy. I know some of them who are moving to Chicago just because it's cheaper than New York, and they still want to do comedy. They just don't want to have to pay New York prices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a big city for it.
Yeah,
Drew Michael, who's my absolute favorite comic, got his start at Chicago.
Yeah. So y'all got it on Thursday night, and y'all got to check out.
Thursday night, we fly in and we're like, let's go to an open mic.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
we're like,
yeah, we were planning on
our-
going to Jokesters 22 because we heard
Yeah.
it was cool. That was like Chris Grulon.
Yeah,
reached out.
it was people were like, yeah, this is the fun mic to do. It usually gets a nice crowd, and we show up there, and we're like, oh, this is cool. Like we really liked the setup of the room. It was cool. Like we met you, we met a couple guys. We're like, oh, all right, this is all real now, and then we get to enjoy a fun open mic, quote unquote.
Fun. That's
Fun
what I want to know.
open mic.
Like so I went on early. I did the second spot, and then like a friend of mine, he wanted to go somewhere else and stuff. And I have a little issues with Jokesters 22. Not with the club itself. I love the club and I love the owners and stuff. But of that open mic, I want to get your opinion on first, and then I'll get mine. Like I'll give you mine. But from an outsider going to that first open mic, what did y'all experience? Like how was y'all's experience as far as like the people there?
Honestly, so it was very similar. It was like it's like we're in a new area. You're a little nervous when you come in, and so you get there. And I'm actually a little relaxed. Like an open mic's an open mic. I this scene. People are chilling by the bar. There's a stage. So I like that element. I really like the way the room was set up, like where the bar is. Like I could feel like a good show could be done there.
Oh yeah.
And then if we're gonna say problems with it, I noticed. I forgot who told me, but they said the speakers were poorly positioned because they have it where there's two by the comic and there's two that face across from the comic, and it creates this cross sound, which makes it all echoey, which really isn't that good.
Yeah, it's not crisp.
So that was not like for just noise reasons why they should change that. And then I thought it was pretty poorly hosted. Like just because
Ba-bang, ba-bang.
yeah, like because he came in and he just a good host is the one who takes the bullet for everyone, right? Like you're like, okay, no one's really ready for comedy. I gotta power through this. I gotta make sure everybody knows the scene. I gotta do this, and the host I feel like kind of just. It wasn't like on top of his shit, in my opinion.
Well, between the first and second comic, the host spent 5 minutes announcing something.
Yeah, he did a lot of time in between
and
too.
That's in New York City. Most comics that I know who host mics know, and they're like, all right, we're gonna move this along. And the mic we go to locally in Westchester, which is the suburbs of New York City, our host moves it along quickly. And then when I went to this mic and this guy started doing a little bit of time between comics, I was like, oh no, oh no. And he called us out too because we were new faces and we weren't laughing as much.
Well, I don't laugh at anything anymore. I don't.
It's
just,
hard.
Yeah.
No, there were some good acts. Patrick was a great act.
Yeah,
We
you
liked
were
yeah.
you were like second, right? Second or third, and I'm like, because the first act was so. Like I think they were newer to the comedy. And then you went up and I'm like, okay, here's a good comic, and I'm like, okay, this guy knows how to tell a joke.
Yeah.
And then we just weren't laughing
And
much.
then it's like, oh boy, we're 18th and 19th, and we're like,
and then the host calls us out for not laughing. I'm like, why would you do that?
yeah, like
You don't call people out for not laughing
yeah,
at an open mic.
yeah, and I laughed.
Yeah.
At the jokes I was telling myself. But no, it was fun because then I got my biggest laugh of the night, which was seeing Peter perform.
Oh yeah, I ate it at that.
And we got to watch Peter just eat complete shit. It
But
made
Sean's so happy about
it made me so happy.
bombing.
It really did.
Because he's so jealous of me.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say
so
jealous. He
jealous
came
of
in
me.
so swaggerly to that stage, though. He was like, "These San Antonians are gonna freaking love me." Peter Clark-Deutsch.
Peter
Everyone's gonna
Clark-Deutsch.
love. And then he gets up there and he opens with his pretty usual opener.
Yeah.
And it's
No.
it just ate so much shit off. It made me so happy.
And I was like, God, because I haven't had a bad mic in a while.
Yeah.
I've had a good mic, a so-so mic. I haven't had a mic where it's like, woo, this audience just has a extreme disdain for me, and that's just kind of what it turned into. And but it's an open mic, so it's whatever. It's not something to go home and cry about.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah. My problem with that place is that it's like the LOL part 2. Like LOL is like the busiest mic.
Yes.
Like people who don't really go to other open mics that really aren't really trying to do this, it's just a hobby for them. They go and fill up the fucking list on that. Which means like if I get like a late card or if I get a late spot, like I'm gonna be there till like 11, and watching these people drains the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only thing I don't like. And then they do a lot of bumping just based on like friendships. Or
That happened to us at Jokesters too.
Because we got bummed pretty hard. Because I think we got 17th and 18th when we signed up initially. And then we looked at the list,
there was
and
like
a bunch
5,
of names just got inserted above us. And I'm like, all right, like, you know.
Have you ever like bumped someone? Has anyone ever like put your name on the list?
I'll put people, if they're not here yet, I'll put them on before everyone else signs up. But I don't. I usually don't.
Like
unless a big name drop. Like if Paul Verzi shows up, you know, you're getting bumped, Peter. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
Like that's
understandably
you know,
so.
because we get that sometimes. But I'm like, for the most part, I'm like, listen, the list is the list. Like, you know, it's better just to do it. Whoever gets there first gets there first. Like that's that. I think that's the best. It's the best of a bad system.
I want to have that power though. Because, I mean, we have like we're regulars. We're the regulars at our club, local club in Westchester. So we usually message the host.
I haven't been on like before, like after 10.
Yeah.
In months.
Yeah, we message the host being like, "Can we get on the list?" And he puts us like really early. But like I want that power to just go in and someone's like, "All right, I'm gonna put you between like 3 and 4."
Yeah.
Squeeze you right in. Because that's what happened to us at Jokesters, and I kind of totally forgot, like, oh, this is how a mic works, and yeah, that's what happened to us.
Yeah, it really sucks because they want people to get there, and then the sign up time has changed. Like first it was like 7:30, and then it was 7, and then like so all this shit. So by the time you get there, now it's 7. It's strictly 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get there early,
Yeah.
and then you got to sign up, and then wait an hour before the show starts.
Yeah.
And then they start doing like the whole bumping shit. And I'm not gonna lie, like I bumped people before.
Yeah.
Like if the show's like not going good, they're gonna, hey man, I'm gonna bring you up and stuff. Which kind of sucks because I do the open mic so I could try new stuff. But at Jokesters, and I hate to sound like conceited, but like at Jokesters, I feel bad for the audience if they get like a bunch of like shitty comics, like people who are bad at comedy. People that are bad at comedy, like they only do Thursday night. They don't write stuff. They want to just go off the cuff and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not really how it works. So if they bump me after all these people, then I'm like, okay, well I can't work out new shit. Let me just do what I know works, just so I could like make sure that the crowd enjoys it, and maybe they'll come back next week and keep coming back and keep coming back.
You gotta make the show good.
Yeah.
You know?
So if like this past Thursday I signed up early because like, either A, nobody's gonna be there, or 2, it's not gonna be drained by everybody else. So I can like try out new stuff and see if it works, rather than put it on me to like, okay, now I gotta make a show out of it for these people. And I wish, I mean, it's cool. If you want to sign up for open mic and do open mic, it's fine and stuff. But just
I've said this before. My least favorite person who signs up for the open mic is like the guy that lost his fantasy football league, and so like that's like his punishment is he has to sign up, and they get like a bunch of the boys to go watch him do that thing. But he's like, you know,
boys.
because we take this seriously. We do like this is how we're trying to get good, so we can get on shows and so we can make this our careers. And then people are like, "Oh, I'll tell my fart joke." Or like this, I have a really funny story from work.
Stand-up's not that hard.
That's fine. I get it. It's an open medium for everyone.
Yeah, it belongs to everybody. But
because it's an open mic. But like,
but God, there needs to be more red tape on those open mics.
I'm a big comedy socialist where like it should be regulated by the government.
By the state.
That's
the state. It's got to be bureaucratic. Someone's got to pass you to get your license.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I only see them on Thursday nights or on Tuesday nights at LOL, and then they come up to me and say, "Hey man, what'd you think of my stuff?" I was like, "Dude, don't talk to me. Like, I don't.
How
give a fuck,
dare
so
you
why,
speak to me?
Like, you don't give a fuck. So why should I give a fuck? You know, like, are they like, hey, can you record my set? Like, who are you? Like,
oh my god, yeah, that's what happened to me recently. It was like some new kids have been coming up and they asked, like, "Can you record my?" I'm like, I don't fucking want. Like, you're never gonna like this set because it's your first time doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
or it's your first and only time, and you're gonna put it on Facebook, and then you're gonna change your bio to like, I'm a comedian now.
Yeah, comedian. You gotta start your own fan page, start selling that merch.
Yeah. What I do like about LOL open mic is that they do like a card system. Mm-hmm. You know, so it doesn't matter what time you show up, you get a random deck of the cards, and then just depending on your card order, That's how they do the
So
set
it's
list.
like a different type of lottery than just like a bucket, pick a name
A
out.
lottery type thing. So I kind of like that, and unless I'm like dead last.
Have you ever thought about wearing long sleeves and just hiding cards in your?
Nah. But yeah, like it's LOL's a crowded mic, Jokesters is a crowded mic, and that's just what it's gonna be like. And that's the thing, like we don't have multiple mics, you know. Like how many mics can y'all hit a night?
Well, if I'm directly in the city, I can do 4.
Yeah.
Like it's just back to bang to bang
In one night?
in one night.
Yeah. And
If we're up by us, I can do 2.
They're so prevalent that you'll never see a mic with a sign up list more than 30 people.
Yeah.
And honestly, smart comics, if they see a mic list more than 20 people, they'll just leave.
Yeah.
And find a mic that has less than that, because those are better.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things you get punished for sometimes is if you sign up for multiple mics that are at the same time and you try to do the old get me. I am on 2nd here, but I'm on 7th. So if I just go up and I sprint across the other club, I can get both. And people hate because you're just running out of the club and not being nice to your fellow comics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's everywhere in New York City. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, my time's up, gonna go to
There
the
is a
next
certain
mic.
selfishness to it, the New York, where it's like,
Yeah.
this is about me, and I'm guilty of it too.
It's like it's weird because like mic culture in New York City, in my opinion, like the culture at like one mic will not be the same in like 3 months. It fluctuates all the time. Like I noticed this when I went to school, and when I come back, I'd go back to the city, do mics. I'd be like, oh, I love this mic. Let me try it out, and like it would just suck.
Yeah,
I was
mics get hot. Like people like, oh,
Yeah.
this one was a lot of fun, and then just word gets out, and then okay, now everyone's at the Pit on Fridays, and then everyone's like, fuck, everyone's at the fucking Pit. So then they go, all right, now I'm doing Broadway Comedy Club, and then it just like it rotates.
Yeah. So it always fluctuates. It's but there's some mics that have like a good culture for a few months, or good culture for a long time, depending on where you go. It's hard though. I mean, there's also cliques, like there's the Brooklyn clique in New York
it's
City.
like anything. Everybody has their like little groupings. I'm sure you guys have it here. We have ours.
For sure.
Like we're like the little Lucy's boys. So like
And you can't be mad at that. I mean, they put in their time and
of
they're
course.
running together and stuff,
yeah, like we're friends. Like you do naturally just want to hang out with your friends a little bit.
It's gotta like as much as you hate the politics of it, like you have your own politics on it as well.
Yeah, like we're all guilty of doing like things that are not like cool for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, the joy I get from stand up is half doing it and half broing out with other people who do it. Being in the green room is my favorite thing.
It's the only job where they encourage you to drink during it.
Yeah. I can't do that. I can't drink and perform. It's
No.
pretty bad. Yeah. I get mad. Like if I drink before and I go up, I was like, I just wasted fucking 2 hours of my life. Because I didn't work on anything. Like I just stumbled through that set.
Yeah,
I've never purposefully graced the stage.
I've never purposefully. I've done it.
I did back in college. We did a lot of house shows where we'd set up a stand-up show like in someone's house and get it like packed with people, which were always a lot of fun. The first time we did it though, like no one showed up, so we just all started.
What the fuck happened to my elbow? When did this happen?
I don't know. No one can see it.
Just noticed. Well,
no one can see this. No one gives a shit.
I'm
Sean.
about to describe
telling
it, Peter.
a story.
It wasn't that good of a story. I think my elbow's a little. Pat, what do you think?
Your elbow that no one can see.
All right,
I'm
so
about
for
to
the listeners, let me describe it. It looks like a cut from here, and I thought like you put like some ointment on it.
Yeah, like there's some.
But now I'm
whites.
starting to think it's bird shit.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened. Like it's gross. Like
Is it just like pus?
yeah, no, it's not pus. It's like I don't even know what this is.
Smell it.
It doesn't smell like anything. It hurts. Like it's clearly. How did I cut myself?
Did you scrape your?
All right. Well,
Okay.
Well, this is good.
that's some good audio for
What a
everyone.
Oh,
Great
just so y'all
tangent
know,
at
I don't
Sean.
edit shit. So
Okay.
Oh no, that's fine. We don't.
No, basically what I was saying is that like no one showed up, so we just started drinking instead. But then when we were all drunk, everyone showed up, and if we were like, "Fuck it, let's do the show."
Yeah.
And it was not a great set of mine, but that's how it went.
Yeah.
I've gotten the old. I'll have just a couple drinks, and then I realize a couple. And the best is sometimes if I'm working the door at our club, I'm like I usually go out and have a few drinks. And then somebody's like, "Hey, Sean, you're gonna do a guest spot." I'm like, "I'm already drunk." Like, go up and have some fun, do some, just some riffing.
If I'm terrified about doing a certain show, I'll usually drink a little bit.
Yeah,
But
calm the nerves.
Yeah, calm the nerves, sedate them.
But no, I think that's my main problem with mics like Jokesters is because like we don't have like multiple stages. I mean, there's variety mics, but variety mics really don't like comedians.
In this area, do they not like comedians?
Yeah. I mean, my favorite variety mic, and they don't do it anymore. It was a poetry open mic. You know, so they're there to listen, and they like the breakup of. I mean, the change of pace from, you know, really dark poems and stuff.
Yeah.
I was 11 when my mother told me I wasn't hers.
Yeah. Stuff like that. But like music variety mics, like they open, they're like, yeah, come tell a joke and stuff. But if you sign up, you'll get bumped, or if you go up, like nobody gives a shit, because they just want to hear you like cover their favorite song or something.
Yeah,
you know.
they're there for their friends. They're there for their friends. And not really anyone else.
Yeah.
But.
So when the comedy open mics get so fucking full of people just out to, you know, do it for the first time, or even not, but like they just do that mic a week and they think that they're doing something, I'm just like, man, get the fuck out of here, you know, because I can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We gotta change that up. We might need to work on getting some more mics here in San Antonio.
Definitely. I mean, you know, it's around where we are, and even in the city too. Like people start their own mics all the time.
Yeah.
And like, you know, bars or like back rooms of cafes or anywhere where they think like, okay, I can have a stage here, have a PA system here, and I could fit an audience in here.
Yeah.
So I honestly, like, you know, you don't think you can't do it in San Antonio. I mean, if you find the right venues and, you know, if you're nice enough and you're not an asshole and you bring the venue in money and you have a relatively good show and the people who frequent there have a good time, then it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've been wanting to check out the Austin scene. Like I know that they have a pretty busy comedy scene up there. Like they have a few mics a night and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's only like an hour away.
Do you travel a lot for comedy, or
no, not at all?
Just stand down.
Yeah, I've just done San Antonio. When I went to Seattle, because I still have family up there, I did a mic up there, and that was pretty rough, you know, because you're supposed to get there like sign up's like at 8:30 or something, but apparently they do a thing where you could just check in, like as long as somebody sees you there, then you could fuck off, and then like when it's time to sign up, you're like, oh, I checked in at 5 o'clock, 6:45, and like people just coming in while I was sitting around waiting, and I'm just getting pushed back and back and back, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, oh no, they were here earlier. I saw them here earlier.
Yeah.
So I went on like fucking dead last. At 11 o'clock from like a 8 o'clock start, 9 o'clock start or something.
How many people were in the audience?
There was still a good amount of people and stuff. So it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was cool because I got to see a lot of the Portland and Seattle comics. You know, they would drop in and do like a spot. You know, like Derek Sheen, I saw him there. Adam Posse, very funny guy out of Portland and stuff. So it was good that I was last because then I get to enjoy like their comedy and stuff. But I was just like, you know, I just felt like, oh, it's politics all over again, you know, shit like that. But I had a good time. But it was pretty early on in my stand-up career, I guess. So it was kind of shitty stuff. Like I wasn't really funny when I started. I was pretty like the bar comic being gross and shit. Like,
oh yeah, that's typical.
Yeah, it's pretty cringy. Like when you look back at like your old stuff.
Oh yeah.
So how long have y'all been doing comedy?
Well, so I first tried it when I was 16. I'm 23 now. And then I was writing a lot throughout high school, and I performed every now and then. And then when I got to college, I performed it every now and then. I went to a very, very upstate rural school, you know, not a lot happening in terms of comedy. But then I transferred to a bigger city in upstate New York, which had a comedy club, like a student-run stand-up comedy club on campus. And they had mics in the city. So that's when I was actually able to get on stage a lot more and really work on my craft. And that's where I actually started to get good and write and perform. So, you know, I've been doing it for 4 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
Me, I'd say 2.5 years because I like Peter. I did a little bit in high school. We had these whatever fest nonsense, and I would go up and I did some jokes and stuff, and I riffed and crowd work, but I didn't do it I didn't think about it too much, too crazy. But yeah, I was trying to be the funny guy amongst my friends, and then I went to college. Then I was more of a football player, for my size, it was a kicker. And then I stopped doing that after my sophomore year, and I went out for the comedy club there and got rejected.
No, yeah.
Fun, but I would still bounce around from open mic to open mic, you know. And I'm like not like the same militant vigilance that I would do, you know. And I kind of meandered around for a while, like you know, like something I like, you know, still a huge fan of comedy, still really thinking about it. And then you know, then I was working this 9-to-5 job, desk job, like just, you know, windowless office, and thinking about killing myself every day because it's just like this. I was just like, I just got out of college. I'm like, this is life. This is this.
Yep.
You just show up.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just stare at a computer screen, and I'm like, I'm just miserable the entire time. And I put on a bunch of weight and stuff, and I like way bigger than I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit. And then so, you know, like I'd leave that job after about a year. I take about 4 months off, lose 65 pounds. And then I get just like a random targeted ad for this place by us called Lucy's. Like, oh, we have an open mic now every Monday. And I'm like, you know what? I really want to get back into this. And, you know, I showed up. I had a, you know, pretty decent comeback sets. And I just haven't stopped since. I haven't not done a mic or a show or something in, you know, like a year and a half straight now.
Yeah.
Just grinding it out. I've started podcasting. Like, this has just become my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just who I am.
Yeah, it's pretty addicting, you know. Like once you get into it, like you're just like, oh fuck, I need to fucking do this shit. Did you just put your fucking foot on the table?
I did.
Oh my God.
I like to get comfortable.
We're guests at this
I mean,
lovely
this
apartment
This
complex.
isn't his desk. Like,
No, it's
No.
not mine, but yeah.
I'll
No,
take
make
it.
yourself-
I'll take it off.
make
That's
yourself
fine.
at
I get-
home. I just thought-
my whole thing is like, all right.
You mind
so
if I just air my boxers out real quick?
I'm not getting naked. It's feet. Like it's feet. The feet are considered almost erotic, erogenous parts of the body.
Yeah, I'm just like, what happened? Like you just pulled like this alpha move. Like what did I do? Like
I'm an alpha male. People don't.
Yeah,
think that.
Sean pushes boundaries
I
when he
do.
can
Well,
because he's a New Yorker.
Not in New York. My body was feeling tense, so I was stretching my leg a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that weird. Like everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah,
Like yeah, if I I don't know, pissed on the table, I'd be concerned. But you know.
He closed his last show being like, "What the fuck is with you guys with Texas?"
no, but what happened? What was weird about it? Dude, like you did it, and then you looked at me like such a weird way. Like say something.
Yeah, like well, like no.
like what do you think of this?
I did it, and then I was like, should I have done that? And then
Wait, did you have that realization
I had
on
that.
stage?
I was
or-
doing it, no, like the foot thing right now. I had that like in the moment of doing it. I'm like, I don't think I should be
Oh, no.
doing this. I'm like, you know, well, that's, I'm so
Yeah.
used to podcasts. I'm like, I'm gonna get comfortable and just talk.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Like I don't know what that look was, but it was like what do you think of this? But like the inflection, it was like, well, what do you think of this?
Yeah,
Or
what
like,
do you-
what do you think of this?
Yeah, what do you think of
You
this?
know, like
I'm just, you know, I lay it down how it is.
do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I hate feet, but do what you gotta do. It's fine.
Oh, you're not a foot guy?
No, I'm not
Yeah,
a full
just
guy.
make the
I'm not
person
for guy
hosting
either.
this podcast uncomfortable. Why
Yeah.
don't you?
Listen, I can't help. But I'm a podcast alpha. All right, I've taken over many
podcast.
people's podcasts before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely one that I wish I was I had video of it, you know. But
Yeah, this would be good.
yeah, the listeners are missing out on a lot of good visuals.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
bloody arm. I just have like dried blood all over everywhere in my body now. I've noticed.
That's
like,
true.
What happened to
Are
me?
you like scratching yourself in your sleep or
I
something?
don't know.
like that?
Is Texas beating you?
Yeah, I think so. Like this heat, man. Like the people.
Sean was mentioning this to me, and I agree with him. Time seems to move really slowly.
It has been
here.
going slower than usual.
like-
Yeah.
Like what? Is
Yeah.
it because your clocks are bigger in Texas? All the-
The arms have melted.
yeah, it
So
does
it
feel like
slows
that way a
down.
little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
My lord.
So how difficult or how for the New York scene, like how hard is it to actually make a dent or to be like noticed and stuff? Because
You
y'all
know-
have so many names out there.
I find it's easier than you think, because I think a lot of it is just how much are you willing to put into it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a year ago, I barely knew Peter, and now we have a whole show and we're doing stuff together.
Yep.
And, like, you know, in New York itself, I didn't know anybody, but now I have a fair amount of connections, and clubs start to recognize you. And, like, people understand, like, even if you're not the greatest comic or have the best jokes, people really respond to work ethic, I think. Like, you're like, this guy's here every day. Let's give him a shot at the very least.
Yeah, I think it's hard for us
Like-
to say, like, in terms of making a dent. If you're saying making a dent as in, like, really, like, okay, I'm here at the cellar making a lot of money, That I don't really know how you can do that, but in terms of like getting on shows and becoming well known in the city, like it's basically just what Sean said. Like, I mean, Michael Che when he started was like just doing 5 mics a day, like almost every day. And if you're doing that, and the thing is, if you're funny, people will notice you.
Yeah.
If you're funny, people will want to talk to you, and if you can also reach out to other people. Like the thing is, like if you ever have a good mic, it's good to just talk to people at that mic because they're gonna, they'll want to talk to you. They'll be like, okay, this guy's talented. This guy's a good time. Like, I'll give him a chance.
Like there's so much of it really is just be like, oh, this guy's not as there's also a lot of crazy people in New York. Just like this guy, there's a small chance he murders someone tonight.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen these guys come in and I may put my feet up on people's table, but no one's like he's gonna stab someone tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But comedy communities in general, I found, and especially in New York, are really good at like shunning the dreck,
the people we don't want,
the people that might be a danger to themselves and others, essentially. But I mean, we know tons of comics who like run shows in New York City. We know comics who get booked regularly in the city.
And like. But even then, a lot of people also make their own scenes. So like in upstate New York, where we know like more people than we do even do the city.
Yeah,
so many of them have just started it. Like our area is known as the Hudson Valley, combines a bunch of counties together. But just a couple guys, Ryan Didisco, Jimmy McDonald, about 7-8 years ago, were like, hey, it's expensive to do the city all the time, so let's just start finding bars and places and shows. And before they have their own like little niche community that's gone well for them. Yeah, like they know, the people know them, and they start now, because they have the experience of doing it on their own. They're able to get booked at competitions and festivals and stuff.
Yeah, and in New York City, the big thing about New York City that I love is that the DIY scene and the alternative scene. So like the rooms that like are the equivalent to jokesters, like those are popping up big in New York City. Like comic run rooms, like Blind Tiger too. Like comic run rooms are getting really, really big in New York City, and some would argue that they're bigger than clubs at this point. And I really love it because it gives there's so many talented comedians in New York City, not enough spots to go around, but it gives a lot of spots to all these talented comedians, and it gives them a lot of stage time and a lot of chances to get better at their craft because you need to perform in front of an audience in order to get better. Like mics only take you so far, essentially.
Yeah. And you just got passed at a club, right?
Yeah, I got passed at the Comic Strip Live, which is like one of the most well-renowned clubs.
It's probably the second biggest club in New York.
Yeah, probably behind the Cellar. Like it was founded in '76. That's like where Jerry Seinfeld got his start.
Seinfeld and Eddie Murphy famously.
Eddie Murphy got his start. Like Louis C.K.
I think Richard Pryor did a special there, right? Like one of his early specials, I think.
He might have. I think he. Yeah.
It's like
right.
a iconic.
It's an iconic location.
It's an iconic staple. So I got passed to do their like late shows. So essentially, like they have a show every day at like 8 p.m. And after 8 p.m. they'll put on like the late show comics, and you'll perform for whoever stays around, which could range from like you had 70 people for your audience. It could be like 70 people to like 5 people, but and I've only done one show there so far, and only like 5 people stuck around because it was like a smaller show. Like if you have a big name who you're following, like usually more people will stick around, but it wasn't that. I had like 5 people, but I think the fun thing about that was like the 5 people who stuck around like really wanted to see comedy, and that always helps you a lot when it's people who are like, yes, I want to see, like making me laugh, I want to see what you got, I'm here in New York City, I want to experience some comedy. I had a lot of fun with that show, and I
think that's a big advantage of New York is people want an experience when you go there. So obviously, what do you think of New York? You think of a million things, but like you have Broadway shows, you have sports teams, you have art museums, you have parks, you have things, and comedy, like it's known for it. So people from out of town are like, let's go see a comedy show. Like, and plus you can literally just walk by a club and like I'll pop in there.
Yeah,
like the walk by aspect, really, the foot traffic goes a long way.
And the idea with like the late night spots is like eventually, like if you do it for long enough, you'll become a regular and you'll perform in the pro shows. Depends how long you want to stay there. I think a lot of people end up just using the connections they make along the way and doing their own thing.
I didn't get passed at the comic strip because I showed up and I put
barefooted.
I put my foot on his table and he's like, "No fucking way, like, get the fuck out."
You're like, "Hey, I'm doing me, man.
This is who I am, Richie.
Take it or leave it." And they left it.
And they left it, which I respect.
Yeah. Do you respect it?
No, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah, this is why Sean was happy to see me bomb at Jokesters 22.
Is there a little bit
he
of
was happy
jealousy?
to see me eat it, even though
little
Sean
bit.
helped me get past because
Arguably, I'm the main reason you got passed
Pretty much.
because I filmed your set.
he filmed my set. Like the guy who was supposed to pass, like who does the passing, like the owner wasn't there, so like the host had to like give him like, recommendations, and he recommended me. So basically, you know, he the owner like called me and said like I needed a tape from you, and I was like, oh well, shit, this is perfect because Sean has the tape of the audition set, and you know the host said Richie the owner would like me because of that set. So you know I sent that set and I was able to get past because of it. So I'm happy for Sean, my podcasting partner, for helping me out.
Yeah, you're happy for me helping you out.
For the fact that you helped him out.
Yeah,
And now he's waiting for you to return
I'm
the
happy-
favor.
I'm-
Yeah, he didn't come to watch my set because his grandma died
My grandmother died inconveniently.
months ago. To be fair.
And I hate when that shit happens, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what, like, when my grandma died, like, I quit playing music
Oh.
because of that. Not because of that, but just, like, it kind of, like, synced up to it because, like, I was in a band, and, like, with bands, just like with comedy, like, you have to spend a lot of time into it, you know, and so you can't really do, like, you can't really be everywhere you really need to be, you know, so I felt bad that I wasn't there while my grandma was in hospice or whatever. And then, so she died, and I was like, if I'm not doing something, like, that's 100% for me, and I have to, like, be for everybody else, like, on everybody else's time and stuff, and I'm making sacrifices for everybody else, like, fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a random tangent thing.
No, I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But you said grandma died. I was like, oh, I got a grandma died.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma
It's
grandma refuses to die.
Yeah.
She is so
Don't you
old.
hate that shit?
Wait,
A little
Sean.
bit.
How much money do you think you have in the will?
Oh, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I'm her favorite grandkid, but she's just out of money. Like she lived so long, she spent all of it.
She just spent all of it.
Yeah. She'll tell you I'm her favorite grandkid
Oh well, that's a
by
shame.
like a wide.
Her longevity has been a shame. Then
I know. If she passed like 5 years ago, I'm getting at least $10,000.
Yeah.
that's a good amount to get from.
I know.
A
Well, she has 72
grandparent.
grandkids. So
damn.
like, yeah, 1 out of 72, pretty good.
72 grandkids.
Listen, the
You have
Irish
72 cousins. God damn.
71. Well, technically,
Oh, he did-
69 because my 2 are my brothers.
Right.
yeah.
My God.
Listen, the Irish like to fuck. They do.
No.
They like to fuck, and they want to make sure you don't talk about it.
My grandmother came from a family of 13.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I have like a lot of like second cousins. I actually found out I have a second cousin who does stand up too.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
doing comedy in Toronto.
We should get him on the pod.
I do want to get him on the pod. I can't find him online though, but you know. Yeah, he's family. Runs in the family for like a few of them.
Yeah,
A few of them on the
A
Clark
few,
side.
a few get that terrible gene that makes you want to do comedy.
Yeah. That pay attention to me type of thing.
Yeah.
Everybody has it, I guess. So cool. So, what else do you have planned for your time here? Or how was Blind Tiger? Y'all did the Blind Tiger last night?
Oh yeah, we did the Blind Tiger. I had a lot of fun. I mean, you know, I love those rooms. I love those like low ceiling, small, intimate rooms. You get them really packed. That's like the best way to run a comedy show for an audience. Like you're always gonna get like an audience who are gonna have a good time when you have like a room set up like that. It's a room that is obviously set up in mind to maximize how funny the show can possibly be. So I really had a lot of fun on that show.
Yeah.
Even though I blew the light apparently.
He
but
blew the light big time.
But it didn't matter. I was told 7, and then the host told me like you're doing 5, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun too, although I got thrown off. So like, one of my bigger jokes is I talk about how I lose 65 pounds, and I inherently wait for the applause because 99 times out of 100 people just to clap for that for some reason. And this one guy, the guy heckled me and said, what was her name?
Oh,
Like-
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said that, and I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah. What?
hey, if she's dead if she's 65 pounds as a
Yeah.
woman. Like, what are you talking about? And that threw me
Or
off.
she's a child. What? I don't know.
Yeah, I lost a child from my body.
that fucking guy.
yeah, that guy was weird.
He
but-
heckled me too. 'Cause
and then he heckled me again later in
Yeah.
my set, and then I decided, fuck San Antonio.
That's so weird because they usually don't heckle there, but I guess because they said these guys are from New York, so fuck with
Yeah,
them.
I don't think they said it for me though. I think they just said Sean Barry, come
no,
on.
he said it for me, which
Yeah, he
and
definitely
I
said it
was-
for you.
and
I
I
don't
was
think
like,
I think you mentioned it in your set.
Oh, I
that
might
you
have
were-
mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when he started fucking with you.
Yeah, that's the thing is a little like I was just like, yeah, fucking San Antonio.
Yeah.
It was one. Because one of my favorite clips of all time is when Bill Burr went off on Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. And then the audience came around. And you know what? The audience came around for me, too, when I started shitting on San Antonio.
Yeah.
It's when I started making fun of Texas. They didn't like it. Like, San Antonio sucks, but this state is excellent.
I'm proud to be a Texan.
Texas.
Yeah,
Nah,
no, but I love playing that room. I'd love to play it again.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's really helped me out and stuff, like, because it's different than trying to be like a bar comic. Because at bars, people aren't really there to see comedy. They just so happen to walk into an open mic type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to say like gross like stuff, like cock balls, ass. Everybody's favorite thing is like to eat ass. Like, oh,
Eating ass is very in.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I'm over it. I mean, I'm over the bit, like seeing everybody like do it, like okay, whatever. But the Blind Tiger, I've only been in there with them for a couple months, and it's really helped with my writing, with my pacing.
Oh yeah.
So it's a great room. It's just so fucking hot, and I
Is
sweat.
it?
Yeah.
I sweat.
Oh,
It's a little hot down there.
I
See,
sweat
you're
very
not a big
easy.
guy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't.
We got some chunkiness to us, so we understand this more.
Got
Yeah.
some blubber.
I prefer the term chunk.
Okay. Sorry for being derogatory.
Yeah, that is our word.
That's
sir.
your word.
Our word. You privileged, skinny, white.
Could we censor that one, please? No. No, that is definitely a room that I think that's the room where it's like if you can grind through open mics and develop a stage presence, that's where you're going to find out if your material is going to fly because those are real people who are there to
That's
see
the
the
thing
show.
about comedy is like
Yeah.
you can write and write and write,
Yeah.
and you might think it's genius, and then I might actually be objectively genius, but the audience dictates what's good. Like it's such that instant feedback where like, yeah, you're the central creator of your whatever you want, whatever your act wants to be. You're the writer, director, producer, star. Like you are everything in one. But the audience is the judge at all times, and so like it's just like you can really put everything into it. And you can be intelligent, but like funny is funny. Like that's what it comes down to. So like, and everyone's
Eating ass is eating ass.
Eating ass
and
is
it's
eating ass.
funny. No.
Because some people do want to just hear people talk about eating ass, but then other people are like, let's get a little more esoteric with it.
I think 90% of the comics who joke about eating ass have never eaten ass in their life.
Have you eaten ass?
I've never eaten ass. I don't plan on it either. I'm getting the most judgmental looks from these two people right here.
No, I mean I don't.
There's
do
nothing
it. I don't-
Patrick and I haven't eaten.
Anyway, shit. I had a question I wanted to ask, and then it got derailed by the ass eating conversation.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always how it works.
So cool. Then y'all gonna be at Free Tell tonight,
Yep.
with some very good comics. Tanvir Aurora's on there. He's a Tiger comic as well, and George Anthony's.
Have you done that room?
Hilarious.
Or,
I haven't done it.
or have
no.
you
Have you been there
seen
to watch it or
Yeah, I've been there.
nice or?
It's a cool place. I mean, it's the seating is kind of off because they're like picnic tables.
Yeah, I saw that
So
on
people
Instagram.
have to turn around or like be
Okay.
awkward about it. And there's no stage. You're on the floor.
Okay.
But it's always a packed place, and the audience digs it after a while. They're usually surprised by like the fact that there's a show going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never seen a bad show there yet. So it should be pretty good. And
Yeah,
Brendan
we're excited for it.
Brendan Potter's supposed to be on there too. Brendan Potter's
I saw him
funny
at
guy.
Jokesters. He was funny.
Yeah, he's very funny, dude.
Yeah, he had a good set.
He's one of my favorite up and coming. I think we kind of started around the same time. I think he's a funny guy, but he doesn't think he's funny, which is great. But no, he's pretty funny.
I think that's a lot of comics who are really, really funny. Don't think they're funny. Like we have a friend, Andreas, who I think everyone tells him he's like the funniest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nah, I'm not. But like literally every comic just dies in him because he's just that funny. But he's just like, nah, I'm
Well,
not.
there's a lot of self-doubt in a lot of comics. I had severe self-doubt until the comic strip, and then I was like really confident again.
I didn't have self-doubt until
But now
comic strip.
I'm slowly starting to slip away where it's like, oh no, am I really that funny? Like it just happens. It's a cycle where
I think comedy's a lot like baseball, where you
Yeah.
just go on streaks where you're just hitting and
Yeah.
hitting and hitting,
Yeah.
and then eventually you're just cold for 2 months straight.
yeah.
Yeah, like there'll be some mics where like I'll just be so bad, and I'm just like, man, do I even can I even do this anymore? Do we want to do this anymore?
Oh,
like,
the old why am I doing this?
why am I doing
here?
this? You know, like I feel bad. I feel bad for my wife because I'm like I'm spending so much time doing this shit, and then I'm doing this bullshit on stage. Like what the fuck? And then I go to the Tiger on Friday and like have a like really decent show. I'm like, all right, I'm back in it.
Yeah, because the Tiger is like actual people who are there to have a good time. So.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to judge your performance on, really. Like if you go to an open mic and you eat shit in an open mic, like if you're at a point where you're doing shows and your material is working for shows, like you don't need to judge how you do at an open mic at all.
Well, yeah, it's just to go back to my comic strip edition. Like me and like 4 other guys were on it. And, we were all hanging in the same spot after the show, and literally everyone after that show came out and did a great job. You're so funny, all these things, which is why it alleviated the whole thing of us not getting passed. It was like everyone in that audience thought we were great. And, they came for a good time, and it was a good time. And so, like, I don't know, it's just like that thing where you just get in your own head sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Being an artist is dumb.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It's terrible.
Why are we doing it? You know what the thing about being an artist
I have no
is?
other skills, so that's
You know
why.
what the thing about being an artist is that I didn't realize until a friend pointed out? It's like, it's really rare for someone to want to do it. Like this is the fact, like think about like people you went to high school with, like how many of them are like doing something creative,
Yeah,
you have to be kind of crazy to be like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel jealous of people that have no ambition to do
Yeah.
anything. Like I wish I could just not want to do anything.
Oh, I'm kind of jealous of people who are like, yeah, I make $60K. And
People who are like,
that's it.
who are like, yeah, I took over from my dad and I bought his house from him and I'm gonna live and die.
And I'm content.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that. Okay, yeah, you have a timeshare somewhere. That's nice.
Like I'm jealous of people who are content about the
people-
mundaneness of their lives.
Yeah.
Like people who are like, I don't need to be out doing that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Like some people are jealous of people with fame and money, and like I just want content.
I have friends my age who are getting married and like buying a house and having a dog, and I'm like, we're 24. Like there's so much time.
That's the age where they start filing into our Instagrams.
Yeah, right.
The photos of the
like me, I'm like,
engagements.
I kind of like. I have no, like, I want to do this. Like, this is me. Like, this is what makes me happy.
Yeah, Sean plans on having 3 ex-wives at the minimum.
2 ex-wives.
I don't plan on settling down until like I'm 30-something.
Yeah. Well, Peter, we're both married to the podcast.
We're
now.
both married to each other, so
Yeah, it's legal now. Y'all should just get it done.
It is an unhappy marriage.
It's even legal in Texas now.
Yeah.
It's legal everywhere.
It's been legal in New York for a while. I'm pretty sure it was passed
It was like a year before when. Yeah.
I think it was like what? I thought it was like 2009. It got passed.
No, it was like 2011, and then it got passed in like
2000. Yeah, well, okay, I
14?
believe that. Well,
Yeah.
so
The point is,
2015.
we love the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, we hate Cuomo.
Peter. We do hate Cuomo's.
Yeah, New Yorkers hate their mayor and Bill De Blasio and the governor.
Yeah.
But they vote for them anyway because they're like, we don't want to vote for Republicans.
These are our guys.
Yeah. They're New York's best. You know.
Bunch of Fredos.
So that's cool, man. So thank you for coming to San Antonio. Hopefully I had a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, if you want to do your plugs again, how do people find you? How do people find the podcast?
I think again we'll just plug 2 Mic Minimum on Instagram and Twitter. You can search us on anywhere you find podcasts.
That is TWOMIC.
Yes, spelt out and
Yes.
MIC. Another pet peeve of mine. It's a mic, MIC, not MIKE.
Yeah.
It's short for
Yes.
microphone.
2 Mic Minimum, TWOMIC.
Anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and others.
And others that we don't know about.
Yeah,
that we
others
find out about all the time.
We put them on there eventually.
People share like, oh, I listened to you on TuneIn. I'm like,
On
what
Blueberry.
is
I'm like, things
Blueberry.
you've never
like,
heard
what
of.
is that?
Yeah,
That's
I found
cool.
out. I just found out we're on iHeartRadio, so I'm like, oh, that's legit.
Yeah, I mean, usually what happens is that like they just pull podcasts from like
the
SoundCloud
RSS feeds.
and all,
Yeah.
They just take it.
And our personal plugs. You can follow me on pretty much Instagram, Twitter. Just type in my full name, you'll find me. If you like satire, I actually write satire for a newsletter called The Lunch Read. You can find that online. Subscribe to that. You'll get a newsletter every Wednesday. You'll get some funny bits written by me.
I'll also plug a movie I worked on last summer that's finally coming out. It's called Shakespeare's Shitstorm. It's from Troma Entertainment, the famous Lloyd Kaufman's final film. Worked a little time on that. It's really funny. Check it out.
Cool, man. Thanks for doing this, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
All right.
Later.
Peace.